Hey, what's going on everybody? It is Slash687 here, back at it again with another PC related video. Today, what I'm doing is answering the question once and for all, what parts of my PC can I buy used and which parts should I not buy used? PC hardware is kind of a heated topic. There are a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum as far as opinions go. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it and think it's a great deal. What I'm gonna try and do in this video is just kind of give my take on it and tell you what components of the PC you should buy used and which parts you should probably stick away from buying used. If done properly, buying used PC hardware is a great way to save money on your build, and if you know what you're doing, there really isn't as much risk involved as a lot of people think there is. So I'm breaking this down into three categories: PC components which you should buy used, PC components which you shouldn't buy used, and then PC components that don't really matter whether or not you buy them used. So starting off with the parts that are fine to buy used, I'm starting off with the most obvious one, and that is CPUs. As far as durability goes, CPUs can last up to 20 to 30 years. It really all depends on how well you take care of it, but for the most part, the physical chip itself is not gonna break before its performance becomes obsolete. So what I'm saying is the CPU will underperform in relevant applications long before it physically is broken, most of the time. Which means if you go onto eBay and purchase a used CPU, 95% of the time it's gonna function properly and you won't really be at a major disadvantage for buying it used rather than new. Now, of course, you have to take into account the fact that you won't be getting a warranty most of the time, so that's one of the negatives as far as buying used PC hardware goes, and also the fact that you never really know what you're getting when you're buying used hardware on a site like eBay. The person could have mislisted it, the person could have just been sending you a dead on arrival chip. A lot can go wrong on eBay. I've had experience with some bad transactions on eBay, so if you're using that website, that's another thing you have to worry about as far as buying used hardware. But when you look at it and you find, the right chips for the price, there really are some amazing, compelling values as far as CPUs go. For instance, I have two CPUs right here, the Intel Core i5-2500K being the first one, which is a quad-core CPU, which performs relatively similar to a current Gen i5 as far as gaming is concerned. Overall, it's a great value. This one right here is it's actually under $100, about $91 US if you buy it on this guy's eBay listing, including shipping, and you're gonna get performance very, very similar to a current Gen i5. Now, are the thermals gonna be as good? No. Is the thermal performance gonna be as good as a current day CPU? No. But when you look at that $91 price tag, it can be very, very tempting, and that's why I have to say that buying a used CPU can often be a very, very good deal. I also have another chip right here, the Intel Xeon E5 2670. It's an 8-core CPU. It's a very popular chip on a lot of people's YouTube videos lately who are kind of building monster budget PCs. This is a very good deal at only $59 for an 8-core CPU. The performance in single-threaded applications is not going to be nearly as good as a current day CPU, but you're still getting an 8-core CPU for only $59, and it really is a very compelling deal. And when you take into account the fact that CPUs can last, pretty much forever, 20 to 30 years, by then it'll be long obsolete. So when you look at it, yes, it is a very, very interesting deal. Another component which can sometimes be good buying used are GPUs. Now, I wouldn't say they're as good value as a CPU because GPUs typically have shorter lifespans and they can be a little bit more unpredictable because often GPUs are used in mining rigs, and that can often significantly decrease the lifespan of the card, especially as you're going to see here, the R9 290. All the 200 series AMD cards were, very, very well liked in the mining community for cryptocurrencies. They performed a lot better than Nvidia cards as far as mining goes. So a lot of these used GPUs you see on YouTube that are from the R9 200 series, they're often used for mining, which can mean that the lifespan is going to be reduced. So you're taking a big risk when you're buying one of these. even though the price can normally be pretty tempting. Here we have R9 290. They usually go for about $250. which when you compare to an R9 390 is only about $50, $70 less. So that is an example of a card which I would not recommend buying used. However, there are also other options such as this right here, an Nvidia Geforce Gtx 780 Ti. This thing's only $280, and 780 Ti's were, you know, they can be used for cryptocurrency mining, but as far as the mining community goes, they use the R9 200 series cards a lot more because they're just a lot better for the money as far as cryptocurrencies went. So when you're getting a 780 Ti, you know chances are it wasn't being used in a mining rig. So that's one thing you have going for you. The lifespan could potentially be larger since, you know, it's probably not used for mining. And when you look at the price tag, only $280 for this 780 Ti, and that's going to perform about as well as a GTX 980, which is over $100 more. The deal becomes pretty enticing. Next up, I'm going to move to parts that don't really matter if you buy them used or not, and the one I have for this is RAM. RAM is pretty much the same price whether you buy it new or used. You see right here I have a G-Skill Ripjaws X Series 8GB kit. On eBay it sold used for about $33, and new it costs $35. So a $2 difference in price between new and used, not really significant at all, and this is due to the fact that RAM pretty much lasts forever. This stuff is really gonna fail on you, so buying it used, buying it new doesn't really matter, and the price difference is usually only gonna be a couple of dollars. So buying used RAM, even though it's gonna be reliable, it really doesn't matter because the difference is just so small as far as price is concerned that you might as well just go for new anyway, so you don't have to go through the trouble of dealing with eBay transactions. Examples of things that you should not buy used: hard drives. These things are mechanical and they are subject to a lot of abuse and potential failure. When you're dealing with a mechanical hard drive, it's going to be rattling around and shipping. Who knows how long that guy who owned it previously has been running the hard drive for, and there's just a very high failure rate when it comes to used hard drives. I would not recommend buying one, even though the price can be pretty good and it can look like a good deal. The failure rate on a used hard drive is going to be pretty high, and it's a pretty big risk to buy one. Same thing goes for power supplies. They're subject to failure as well, and when you're buying one used, your chances are even higher for failure, so I would not recommend buying a used power supply. Used motherboards I wouldn't recommend either. Even though they can, last for a while, they are a part that's subject to a lot more failure than, say, a CPU or RAM, so I wouldn't really recommend buying a used motherboard. The price difference is not going to be that large, and the extra risk you're taking on buying a used motherboard is usually not going to be worth it. And that pretty much sums up all the parts. I forgot to mention cases. That's another component that really doesn't matter if you buy it new or used. Most of all because you really can't find too many used PC gaming cases on eBay. Just try. Not many people sell used cases, I guess, because there really isn't a reason to sell one. I mean, pretty much everybody is just going to get one case and then use it for, 10 years at a time, because you don't really need to replace a case too much, and not to mention a case pretty much lasts forever, so the price difference between new and used is not going to be that much. So that wraps up pretty much every component you could ever think of in a gaming PC other than SSDs. As far as SSDs go, I'd say go for it. SSDs are pretty durable. You aren't really going to have a big problem with reliability with an SSD, with the exception of a few certain models, but I'd look into that before you buy one. But for the most part, an SSD is a lot more durable than a hard drive, and if you can find a good deal on a used SSD, chances are you're going to be A-okay. So that sums up pretty much every used part. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and be sure to comment what you guys think about used PC hardware. Which parts do you think are worth buying used, and which parts do you not think are worth buying? I'd also like to hear what you think about used GPUs, because that's an area where I'm pretty iffy on. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. It's really a gamble as far as buying a used GPU goes. And that's going to wrap up the video, so I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and if you need to buy any PC components, send me an email at my business email. Link is in the description, and I will talk you through building that PC, and I will send you my Amazon associate links to the components, which gives me a small kickback and helps out the channel a lot. So I hope you all enjoyed, and oh, by the way, I'm getting a new microphone soon, so you should be seeing an increase in audio quality. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like I said earlier, and I'll see you all later. Have a great night. Peace.